Good day, everyone, and welcome to our discussion on the National Ecotourism Strategy and Action Plan 2013 to 2022. During our synchronous discussion, I was able to introduce to you what's all about the National Ecotourism Strategy and Action Plan. And we are able to read the message, the different messages from the DNR, the DOT secretary, and even what's the content of this NES. Okay, so for today, we're gonna tackle about what is this for strategy, how this was formed or was developed by both the Department of Tourism and the DNR under biodiversity of the same office from the DENR. Okay, so we'll proceed directly um, to the main topic of this NES. But please do memorize of these abbreviations, acronyms, and abbreviations for you to know and better and easier to understand the content of the National Ecotourism Strategy and Action Plan created in the year 2012. So to start, what is the background and the rationale of this of NES, which boils down to the background or main reason of this NES is it aims to provide an integrated management plan for a comprehensive direction for ecotourism development in the Philippines. So yes, it is integrated. Yes, it is a very comprehensive plan which set different directions and strategies for the whole Philippines, a total of 7,107 islands, a total of 7,000, and at most 300 plus ecotourism sites in the Philippines. Okay, so as you can see, based from this PDF file downloaded from the official Gazette of the Philippines, I highlighted some of the keywords, very important, no? Which, for example, the NES strategy was done through a consultative and through the use of assessment tool and a planning workshop from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and also in particular with the National Capital Region. It was participated uh, by by stakeholders, both government and non-government, community even, and other representatives. And they evaluated the NES based from its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of, of NES and provided recommendations to maximize the strengths, opportunities, and minimize the weaknesses and threats. So mainly, it was started from a SWOT analysis from this assessment, boils down now to the new form or platform or new form of planning. So you can see no, from the ecotourism market trends, the international tourist arrivals grew by 4% in the year 2012, reaching to 1 billion, with Asia and the Pacific showing the strongest result of 7% growth. So this is really a huge number where we can see the major driver now of the Philippine settings is actually not just mainly as tourism, but specifically ecotourism. As we look at the figure, even um, we can now say that ecotourism belongs to the category of travel for leisure, recreation, and also holidays, which account to for 51% or over 500 million of all international tourist arrivals in the year 2011. From this result, no, based from this percentile or percentage rather, um, it can be seen now already that the contribution of this sector is very huge to the development of our country, and at the same time this is also a huge problem that if we were not able to sustain, then it may put our environment into danger. Okay, so I continue. The Convention of Biological Diversity says that the 1990s ecotourism has grown to 20 to 34% per year. And based from this, the nature tourism is growing even to 10% to 12% per annum, or meaning per year in the international market. As to the domestic market, Philippine tourism has reached 4.3 million foreign tourists in the year 2012. According to National Tourism Development Plan, or NTDP, this is projected to reach 10 million in the year 2000, in the last years for 2016. So the potential market size for ecotourism in the Philippines is in the range of 1.2 million plus plus to 14 million plus plus. Financially, the potential gross earning from foreign ecotourism was from United States dollar 81.2 million to 1.4 US dollar billion from this years 2013 to 2016. From the potential earning, this is also a positive minus, no, a positive or negative feedback, or positive negative effect to our environment. But as you can see, based from this data, based from this plan, it will only give us estimations, projections, even actual accounts, even actual ratios and percentages of what and in how ecotourism market and ecotourism tourists can provide to our economy. Okay, but later on this management plan, or later on this NES and action plan, you can see the different effects already of ecotourism if it is mismanaged. And I will also present to you the different strategies done by this NES. A total of 8 strategies, if I'm not mistaken. So to have an idea of the volume of tourists currently, so we have already of this account, no, 51%, 505 million, and even in the United States dollar, it can be accounted from 81.2 million to 1.4 billion already. I'm talking already into million to billion. Now, the volume of tourists currently visiting ecotourism destination in the Philippines, visitors counts in protected areas and other adventure destinations shows that the domestic and foreign visitors in over 200, okay? The total account now is 200, but actually if you look at, no, there are registered protected areas still processing, because before a an area be declared as a protected area, then it should be enacted. It should be written into a law, into uh, into as a proclamation already as a protected area. 200 protected areas under the NIPAS, and average 778 eight annually for a period of 2000 to 2012. NIPAS is actually the National Integrated Protected Areas System, meaning they are the ones, opo, na sila yung nagsusulat, nasa kanila yung regulatory bodies po in declaring a certain area or a destination to be promoted, be certified, and enacted as a protected area. Okay, with over of these 7,000 islands, a total of 7,107 islands, but there are accounts also that 7,107 plus and minus during wet season and during uh, wet season and dry season. So a different account even. Okay, that this 7,000, it has a total of ecotourism uh, diverse market that it can be classified from wetland, mountains, volcanoes, ridge cliffs, seascapes, coast, beaches, lakes, forests, caves, fields, and a rich variety of plants and animals. As a mega diversity country, the Philippines offers one of the best destination for ecotourism. Actually, the recent announcement is that Philippines accounted to three well-known beaches in the world. Okay, so we have that in We have that Boracay. We also have that Palawan, and we also have that in the surfing capital of the Philippines. It's not in the Dinajawan. I forgot the surfing. I forgot the name of that. I'm sorry. I'll give you during our synchronous anyway. So, um, this megadiversity now, ecotourism often combines cultural, often, because there are destinations that mainly for natural resources that has no people, that has no tribe, residents po doon. So it often combines both cultural and natural, or at some point, it can just be a natural or it could just be a cultural one. In terms of cultural resource base, the key cultural resources for ecotourism include festivals and events, traditional villages, museums, handicrafts, arts, crafts, and local cuisines. The National Tourism Development Plan has identified 78 tourist development areas or TDAs and are grouped into 20 product market thematic cluster destinations or CDs and must be serve at least one or more air, sea, road, gateways. I'll be giving you even no on the succeeding pages on in this part of this NES. You can see how many how was our land transportation, how was our airports, how was our sea transports. Okay. Now we look into the infrastructure services aligned into of this NTDP and also to the TDAs which connects also which driven po ito dun sa papunta on the different areas. And this is the infrastructures development, including services and human resources development and opportunities for ecotourism. Okay, we look at first to our borders. The country has 112 airports, but now a total account of 140, 100. The registered one is I'm too certain. I'm not sure yet, but it's I think 130 plus already. Okay, but for the international airports, which NAIA Cebu International Airport is our key gateways. Key gateways. So we have the NAIA Cebu, Davao, but now we just opened Pampanga International Clark Airport. Okay, and that is now one of our key gateways in the Philippines. And there are five airlines operating domestically. But because of this pandemic, it boils down already into mainly into three. Okay, into three: Philippine Airlines, AirAsia, and um, Cebu Pacific. But AirAsia is actually the main office of AirAsia is in Malaysia and in Singapore, while Cebu Pacific is if I'm not mistaken here in the Philippines, while Philippine Airlines has many po na connections even of the international connecting flights, which includes Europe and in United States of America. How about our land transportation system? Actually, from this account po in the year 2013 to 2012, ito na yung mga plano natin, nadadagdagan ng nadadagan, no? The transportations, which consists, we have roads, railways, and transit system. Okay. And it has extensive road system with about 200 kilometers of roads, although only about 80,000 kilometers are paved, meaning na semento, and this network of roads and bridges is currently being improved through the Build project program of our government. And this is also through the government, through our DPWH, a convergence program under the Tourism Roads Improvement Program. Okay. How about our sea transport or our seaport? We have our main now is actually the Manila North Harbor and the South Harbor. We also have in Cebu, and we also have already we opened Lawag International ports. Okay, and these are the hubs for inter-island shippings. Meaning, if you want to go, for example, if you want to go to Bacolod, if you want to if you want to go to Cagayan de Oro, want to go to Bohol, you need first to go to these hubs. Okay, we have Cebu, we also have Manila, but before we have that Davao, we also have that in actually before is the Cagayan de Oro, but for now, it's working po yung Manila Cebu. And then we also have other inter-island shippings na po. Ay, mga Roro na, at yung mga maliliit po nating bangka and call for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao a total of 919 kilometers nautical highway in an integrated set of roads and ports. Why I'm talking about our transportation system. It could be in air, could be by land, and it could be by water because this links po the mobility of our tourists in reaching the destinations is critical. One factor of that, for example po, ay Boracay. When their governor, Aklan, okay, and the mayor of Calibo is the municipality where Katiklan and Boracay Island belongs po. So there to the development, the infra development, and they look at the projected na it is possible, feasible to have a connecting underground highway from Katiklan Airport to the Boracay Port. And there are positive, there are negative consequences of this movement. Like for example, uncontrollable receipts, uncontrollable tourist receipts po in a day. Bakit? Mas mapabilis yung pagpunta nila doon. Another is, pag nakikita nyo doon, matagal ang development. Why? Because they need to carry po yung mga semento via boat, wherein if you will connect it directly via underground, then the mobility will affect po yung development already of Boracay. And then sabi nung mga when I just had a very quick interview among the ITAs and also the residents po there saying that mumura ang the positive effect of that is mumura yung mga bilihin, mas bibilis yung development pero mas mabilis yung pagkasira ng aming island. That's how they saw, no, if ma-continue po yung um, highway to be linked from Katiklan Port to Boracay. This has been they link this or they pattern this development from Hong Kong po, the main island of Hong Kong to the main island of China. So meron na po itong mga ito and they want even to have this in our country. But again, if you will look at to the NES, we are more into the prioritization or we prioritize sustainable and protecting the environment. Okay? Not just for the development, but also by protecting our environment, protecting our community, protecting our culture, and protecting even the host community. How about now for the supply of hotel accommodation? Probably we'll look at the accommodation as a total number of rooms or the total number of hotels that can be found po in our country. Yes, it is. Because accommodation is um, one of the main factor why these tourists are traveling. They consider definitely shelter. They need to consider shelter. They need to consider rooms for their overnight stays, 2 nights stays, 1 week stays, and including po no. But if you look at to the ecotourism sustainability, we look at into this industry. We should promote actually camping, not into the payment of yung ating mga rooms. You know, the former president of St. Mary's University even asked me during my interview po, asked me about how can I develop. Sabi niya, Jaem, can you provide strategy to two strategies on how we can promote tourism here in the province. And then I said, we have first think I answered, replied, I replied to our former president, said, before I can provide strategy further, I said, we have to look first to to the kind of industry that we have, to the kind of tourism that we have here in Nueva Vizcaya, and to consider even the type of tourists that we have. So sabi ko, bypassers lang po, almost, no, sa atin. And if we will look even to the different tourism sites that we have, medyo magkakalayo-layo. Kaya pag meron kang mga bisita pa galing Manila, galing other provinces, and then they will ask you tourist sites, sasagot nila sa inyo na, ay, ito kasi, punta natin malayo. So, time consuming. No? So, ang pagtitingnan natin ang Nueva Vizcaya is one po of the um, considered to be the ecotourism destination and a form po of the development po ng ating NES. Makikita niyo later of this NES and action plan that Kapisaan Cave is one po of the pipeline, one of actually the uh, major major consideration po of the creation of this plan. Because for example, no, pag dumami at dumami ito, mabilis yung mobility, masisira din dahil dadami ang bisita. Okay? So, ganun din yung consideration natin dito. Okay? So, accommodation versus development, development versus meeting the quantity and or the demand. And if you look at to the policy and if you want to develop some places, you have to consider, as I cited my example, you have to look into the kind of tourism that we have here in the province and to the type of tourists meron tayo. Mostly excursionist tayo dito at may passers at saka yung mga thrill seekers. Why? Mount Pulag, we have Mount Pulag, we have Mount Malali, we have Mount Ugo, we have, and you need to exert effort before you can reach the peak of these mountains. If you want to go to Lintungan Falls, if you want to go, ang dami nating falls, but actually, you need to trek, you need to exert little, no, of that effort. The Provincial Tourism Council is now promoting the skydiving, no? Okay? In Baguio. And you need a little po na money and also a guts po, no? Bago ka maka-attend or bago ka makapagpunta ito mismo dito. Unlike other destination, ecotourism destinations that you did need, magkakalapit lang, a little bit na ito yung mas gusto ng turista na medyo good for family, hindi siya yung mga aakyat ka ng bundok, maliligo ka, malalalim, delikado. Okay? Yun po yung kinokonsidera. Because we need to do and we need to match the supply of the hotel accommodation versus the total demand that we have sa total receipts or tourist arrivals po natin sa Pilipinas. And if we look at no in the year 2012, there are 162 403 nationwide po na accommodation facilities. And the question there is, can this accommodation facility, can this amount or quantity able to survive po during peak season? Can this number meet po nung ating tinatawag na demand, tourism demand? A question mark for that. Actually, dito sa Nueva Vizcaya, marami nang nagsasabi na they want to visit here, they want to conduct conventions here, they want to conduct concerts here because of the newly constructed po na convention center, and we also have the Lower Magat Ecotourism Park. But unfortunately, if you will look into the supply of the hotel accommodation, ilan lang po ang total rooms available po dito. And if we will host, for example, 1,000 guests for a 3 days workshop or convention, can we accommodate them all with our current service providers, I doubt. Because, like for example, one hotel here in Bayombo, the capital of our province, they can only offer they can only offer 20 rooms, and total of 20 rooms, let's say sabihin natin by twos na lang yan, then we can just accommodate 40 guests. And if we will host a huge number of events, as made mention, during festivals, during events, no, as part of the ecotourism, well, we need also to check not only for our transportation, but we have to check our hotel accommodation. So that is part in the cluster, that is part in the discussion po during the action plan po conducted in the year 2012, just after the promotion po ng Tourism Act of 2009, or the 9593. Okay, we continue. So throughout the country, in 2013, there were 750 BOT accredited tour operators and travel agencies. So based from the highlighted, another po ito ay yung ating manpower who will conduct tours, and who will do the hosting, who will do the necessary tour guiding, and we need even to check on that. If we cluster it into, for example, sorry, to 1:25 tourists, can we accommodate here in the province, for example, 1,000 guests? I doubt. Okay, so we have even to check the total available accredited tour operators and travel agencies across po uh, of our site. Okay, so tourist transport, including restaurants, tourism training centers, rest areas, tourist shops or souvenir shops. We need even to check on the tourism recreation centers, galleries, agritourisms. Ito rin tinatawag nating supplementary activities. Kasi kapag i-focus lang natin sa ecotourism, what will happen sa ating destination? So, ang hirap po, no? Okay? So, now we go to, please do read of the remaining parts of this, and we'll focus now onto the action plan. What is the vision of this action plan? Is to be globally competitive ecotourism destination with wealth and natural beauty and cultural richness. Mayaman sa natural na kagandahan, at mayaman po sa kultura. And this should be aligned into a global market, and to be competitive even in the global market. We are linking this NES and action plan through the United Nations Tourism World Organization, the UNTWO. And what is the goal of this NES? Is to be environmentally and socially responsible. So if we will look at to be globally, we need even to look our industry to be environmentally and socially responsible. And that is, the goal is to be sustainable for both the environment and to our community. Okay? Because if you look at, there are vulnerable groups, okay, including IPs. Okay. Now, what is the overall goal of the NES? And the overall goal of the NES is to be environmentally and socially responsible. And this, it boils down now to 8 strategies that we have. The 8 strategies are as follows. Strategy one, developing and marketing diversified and competitive ecotourism products. Strategy two is creating conducive environment for ecotourism investment. Strategy three is maximizing economic benefits for the host community, meaning the host community is your locality, yung IP. Strategy po four is promoting and developing culture and ecotourism, and that is, when I say promoting, is strengthening our cultural ties. Promoting and developing cultural for strengthening institutional capacity. Institutional capacity is not only in the total number of participants or total number of carrying capacity, but even in the institutional capacity. Institutional capacity is, for example, ilan yung kayang i-accommodate ng company mo. Okay, can you host of this? Can you prevent and can you protect the environment based from your ratio, based from your institution's capacity? That's a question mark. So we have to even to check under the strategy that we have to align all of the ratios po na kailangan nating asikasuhin of the different sectors that we have. We have different institutions. Institutions for transportation, institution for tourism, travel and tours, institution for accommodations, institution for restaurants, and so on and so forth. Now, is for strategy six, developing and strengthening partnerships, and that's collaboration so from and to the different stakeholders. Strategy seven, establishing mechanism for sustainable financing. Okay, and last one is monitoring outcomes and impacts. Monitoring, then you have to go over to strategy one. If there are problems and if there are best practices after your monitoring outcomes and impacts, then it be cascaded to all. Meaning from strategy one to strategy eight, it is a continuous um, development and continuous procedure. Now, in the elements of ecotourism, such as it could be in natural areas, community participation, quality of visitors, experience, and educational value. So, this NES is based from this ratio po. That physical, 50, ecotourism is 10, social preparedness is 10. What are these ratios for? This is in the development on how we can look into the efficiency, on how we can focus, on how we can create a very good effort in the protection of the environment and also in the promotion of the ecotourism sites. Now, the plan is used not only in the SWOT analysis, but now we will also encounter in the presentation of this action plan through Gantt chart, meaning it will just only showcase po of the different activities in a timely or using a table po with the different colors of the different assigned dates po. Okay, so um, you can just go over of this plan. Napakaganda nitong plan na to for and actually our third term examination will focus on this national economic ecotourism strategy and action plan. So please do read. Okay, so you may highlight using the PDF highlight letter T. Okay, the institutional framework for the development of ecotourism includes different stakeholders. And who are these stakeholders that are grouped into the public, the private sector, the multilateral and bilateral agencies, non-government organizations, and communities. Based from the executive order number 111 series of 1999, this is actually the EO 111 of 1999. So please do include in here, kulang yung information dito, palagyan. EO 119 S or series 1999. What is all about of this executive order? It says that it is anchored in this NES is anchored into this executive order that embodies that are expected to conduct regular meetings and discuss on the issues, monitor progress on the NES implementation, and provide policy and direction. EO 11 EO number 111 series of 1999 is actually the establishing the guidelines for ecotourism development in the Philippines. Meaning, this is actually the mandate, this is actually the order, the executive order of the country that you need to conduct regular meetings which should be anchored into the guidelines set during this or based from this executive order. So you can search EO 111 series 1999 to the official gazette for you to be able to uh, have a better understanding of what is this all about, what is this guidelines all about. Okay, so may I continue from here? We will now start on the NES. So from the national background, I will not mention into that, but in here, the key imperatives to be addressed by NES. So there are areas that NES should address: the diversification and spreading tourism, provisions for ecotourism, for economic incentives, promotion of recreation, creation of models, etc. Okay, so we will end from this part of this PDF, and we'll continue into another session of recorded discussion. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Have a nice day. Goodbye.